Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, whether you are joining us from the United Kingdom or you are joining us from Zimbabwe or across the region. I welcome you to Champions Network TV in collaboration with NDWG Global TV. I am your host, Misha. Yes, previously we reflected on the debates and the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 and acknowledged that it was not fully engaged the position but we did not fully engage the position of voices from the government. Today, we turn to that conversation, but in a different national and the global context. Across Zimbabwe, the nation was marking independence celebration, a time to reflect on sovereignty, freedom, and the will of the people. Yet, at the same time, a different picture is emerging. Here in the United Kingdom, Zimbabweans in the diaspora have taken to the streets on their Independence Day, protesting against Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, raising concerns about governance and representation. And of note was the presence of Lord John Coates, signals that the issue is now attracting international political attention. So we are faced with a powerful contrast. A nation celebrating independence while sections of the citizens at home, abroad, are questioning whether their voices are being heard. And joining me today is none other than Dr. Zembe again. He is not new to the platform. He has been here before. We have discussed quite various issues. Dr. Zembe, welcome to the program.
Greetings once more, Ramisha, and greetings to dear listeners and viewers of this program being offered by the Champions Network TV in collaboration with NDWG Global TV.
Thank you very much. Let's start from the celebrations. Dr. Zembe, Zimbabwe is celebrating independence, a moment rooted in the struggle for self-determination and the voice of the people. How should citizens interpret this moment when at the same time there are concerns about participating in the constitutional process?
Yes, this issue of celebrating the 46th year Independence Day in Zimbabwe has come and has gone. There is not much in terms of the improvement of the general life of Zimbabweans 46 years after independence. Therefore, it has come, that celebration, and to most Zimbabweans, it's just a ritual which leaves Zimbabweans with sad memories of the 46 years we have lived under a brutal dictatorship of ZANU-PF government. It's a mere wish that if we could really be having a genuine independence celebration, we would be having most of our citizens really enjoying that day and seeing value in it, because it would mean celebration in abundance of goods and services, with the citizens enjoying the goodies of independence, self-rule, and self-determination. But unfortunately, the celebration was done by a minority, those who belong to ZANU-PF political party, particularly those who occupy public office, because that elite has looted national resources. They continue to embezzle national resources, and they continue to celebrate even the conspiracy to enact constitutional amendments that have the power to overthrow a constitutional order, because they are enjoying and acting to protect their loot. And so it's a sad reminder each time we have the 18th of April each year. It's a sad reminder of how Zimbabweans have been oppressed by their fellow African Zimbabweans who have been occupying public office for the past 46 years. The country has gotten into the hands of into the hands of domestic dictatorship. From colonial dictatorship to a domestic dictatorship under ZANU-PF rule. Firstly, 37 years under Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Secondly, the past 8 years under Emerson Mnangagwa. And these are the facts on the ground. So in real terms, there is completely nothing to celebrate to the majority of the citizens of this country, here at home and there in the diaspora. The situation is the same. It's a sad occasion for the majority citizens of this country. It is also an occasion for the majority to craft ways to prosecute the liberation struggle, the democratic liberation struggle, so that we achieve real independence, real freedom. And as you have observed in your opening remarks, that there in the United Kingdom, yesterday, the 18th of April 2026, a lot of Zimbabweans showed cause by demonstrating or protesting at the Zimbabwe House, which houses the ambassador of Zimbabwe to United Kingdom. I saw two groups when I observed what was posted on X. And the first group I saw was a huge group of people, Zimbabweans, demonstrating or protesting against the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 and against the brutal rule of Emerson Mnangagwa and his ZANU-PF political party. that it is time Mnangagwa leaves public office. It is time that ZANU-PF itself leaves office as well, since it's the backing group of the dictatorship we have had for the past 46 years. And I actually witnessed some statements from the United Kingdom and Ireland ambassador of the National Democratic Working Group, Dr. Matenge. And also I heard speakers from the DCF, Defend the Constitution Forum. They're working together to show cause. That I also listened to Lord Oates, who is a member of the British Parliament, of the Senate, also giving solidarity to Zimbabweans. And he made very strong remarks to say that he was not speaking on behalf of Zimbabweans, but as someone who witnessed or denounced apartheid South Africa. At the time he was in South Africa, he indicated he had the occasion to teach at a school in Manicaland, in Rhodesia, and that his predecessor actually denounced the colonial racist government of Ian Douglas Smith in Zimbabwe, Rhodesia then, and that he was giving a solidarity statement at the protest yesterday, and that indicated that it is his demand and observation that the entire world should give sympathy to Zimbabwean people in their current constitutional resistance struggle, constitutional resistance to the Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026, because he observed violence at the consultations that were symbolically organized by the Zimbabwean parliament, headed by Jacob Mudenda, and that Zimbabweans who opposed the bill were never given a chance to express their free opinions, to be heard. And that was witnessed by the entire universe. That is why Lord Oates appealed to the whole world that they should be aware of the undemocratic processes currently taking place in Zimbabwe to overthrow a constitutional order through these brutal CAB3 amendments. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that powerful, I actually call it a history lesson, and also advice to the people of Zimbabwe. I just want to say to those watching us live, either on Champions Network TV or NDWG Global TV, where we kindly ask you to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that we can continue to give you these conversations. I want just to push you back, Dr. Zembe. You were there, 1980, at independence. There was some, I think, an anticipation and a mood within the country that what they've been fighting for is now arrived. How is our system either is it fulfilled, betrayed, or over uh, over delivered on the expectations of Zimbabweans at independence in 1980?
Yes, Chairman, there was some echo from the studio as you were asking me that question, but I think I got the gist of it. To say, since I witnessed what happened on 18 April 1980, the lowering of the Union Jack, that is the British Union Jack, and raising the Zimbabwean flag, which was done by King Charles in 1980. Has that event, that is the independence of Zimbabwe, fulfilled the expectations of Zimbabweans? The answer is clearly no. Because if it had fulfilled the expectations of Zimbabweans, we wouldn't be facing the current economic decadence, social decay, and immorality, and the scourges of drug abuse, drug menace, and the unemployment in the country. And also, we wouldn't have noticed a flight of colonies of Zimbabweans into the diaspora in the past more than 20 years. And we wouldn't be witnessing the death chambers in our hospitals, where we don't have even basic medicine for pain. It's unobtainable. We wouldn't be having our nurses being incapacitated, being unable to offer a fundamental public service that they went to training for. And since nurses are pursuing a calling to save human life through their profession, it is torturous, it is painful, it is demoralizing for them to witness the demise of people dying in large numbers in hospitals, nurses being unable to save life because they are not equipped, they are not empowered to do what has become their calling, to save life, human life. We wouldn't be having all these tragedies if the 18th of April 1980 event had been fulfilled in real terms. We are witnessing underdevelopment, serious underdevelopment in Zimbabwe. We are witnessing theft of public property, public wealth by the ruling elites, the so-called Zvigananda, and this term is now being used to refer to looters who loot national wealth from public offices. And there is an X post I read a couple of hours ago stating that Emerson Mnangagwa has centralized the issue of all public tenders into his office so that he could have a chance to continue looting public resources. So yeah, true. I'm witnessing it every day that independence is yet to come. It's nominal independence we have had for the past 46 years. Real independence is yet to come. This is why Zimbabweans are embarked on the current constitutional and electoral struggle for democracy and for completion of the liberation struggle in order to establish a civilian democratic rule without violence. All we have seen is violence for the past 46 years. Should I say institutionalized public violence, where the arms of state have been used to violate the rights of citizens of Zimbabwe, to brutalize citizens of Zimbabwe, to rig elections, and to do all kind of manner in terms of dictatorship to the people of Zimbabwe. What I'm saying is not an allegation. It is reality captured in the annals of history of this land. For the past 46 years, we have seen ruthless violence meted against the people of Zimbabwe. And the major violent episodes are there to see. The Gugura Hundi from 1982 to 1987 occurred in the southern region covering Bulawayo, Matabele North, Matabele South, and part of Midlands, where supporters of PF ZAPU political party were killed, annihilated by a military squad which actually was armed by Robert Gabriel Mugabe, using public finance to go on a genocidal campaign. The so-called 5th Brigade, trained by the North Koreans, annihilated the people of Zimbabwe in the southern region. It's there in history. Some commissions were appointed, they investigated, but the results were not made public of those investigations. We also have seen during the time of the Zimbabwe Unity Movement, headed by a former Secretary General of ZANU-PF, Edgar Zwanaitekere, who had been fired from that political party for resisting or for pointing out that ZANU-PF never resolved to establish a one-party state after independence in Zimbabwe. And when Tekere accepted to lead a political party, Zimbabwe Unity Movement, which was formed in 1989 to resist Mugabe's ambition to impose a legislated one-party state in Zimbabwe. A lot of violence, state violence, was directed at the members of the Zimbabwe Unity Movement, which had a big contingent of the war veterans who had fought in the armed liberation struggle. Then we move on even to the violence that was meted out on Abel Muzorewa's UNC and Ndabaniki Sitole's ZANU Ndonga party. The two leaders, Muzorewa and Sitole, fled to America as a result of the violence that the ZANU-PF regime meted out on fellow citizens of Zimbabwe. We then saw the formation of the Movement for Democratic Party, MDC, in 1999, and a lot of violence was meted out to the members of MDC, resulting in a lot of people being killed. And we saw the climax during the 2008 bogus elections, when Robert Mugabe was defeated by Morgan Tsvangirai. We saw again the ZANU-PF institutionalized governmental violence, the abuse of the army during that time, when Tsvangirai fled to Botswana, and when he returned, he again took refuge in the Netherlands embassy at Newlands in Harare. All this was documented, and that's when ZANU-PF government abused the military and embarked on violence, killing Zimbabweans, cutting off the hands that had voted in the 2008 elections. And a bogus result was announced for a rerun, which never occurred. And after that episode of violence, we then later again witnessed the emergency of the government of national unity or inclusive government from 2009 to 2013. In between, we saw again some constitutional amendment upheavals. The COPAC process was as violent as the Parliament of Zimbabwe process we have just witnessed regarding the CAB3 Amendment Bill number 3, yes, of 2026. In the COPAC consultation process, it was parliamentary, made up of members drawn from 3 political parties, ZANU-PF, MDC Tsvangirai, and the MDC Mtambara. We again saw ZANU-PF abusing the state institutions like the military again, which it has been abusing in all bogus elections since 1980. And here, under COPAC process particularly, the viewers and listeners may remember that one Jabulani Swanda, who is the current chairman of ZANU-PF Bulawayo province, went to Bikita during the time of COPAC and established his stay there, staying in the hills and mountains of Bikita as a brigand and terrorized citizens there. Yes, if you dig up in the annals of history, you will see documented information of Jabulani Sibanda during the time he was threatening citizens during COPAC process. This government, this regime of ZANU-PF has been notorious for being a very, very violent and terroristic government, terrorist organization, the ZANU-PF political party and its members. So I was answering to your question that has the 18th of April 1980 event fulfilled the expectations of Zimbabweans as an independent constitutional republic of self-rule? Clearly no. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zembe, for such a very, as I always say, I will be in a history lesson whenever you are responding to these questions. Now we are back to Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. In our last discussion, we identified that there were concerns, and to the point that a National Democratic Working Group actually pulled out from the process of the consultations, and we have also had some key figures like Professor Maduku, their views, Job Scala, they are opposed to the deal. And a lot of ZANU-PF supporters are saying the deal is in line with the Constitution, it's not violating any Constitution. Now we are coming closer, and we want to focus on two important members of the ZANU-PF party. So we must now address this. The presidential spokesperson in the person of George Charamba maintains that the process is lawful and within the constitutional provision. And also the ZANU-PF spokesperson, Christopher Mutsvangwa, also defended the process as necessary and aligned with the governance priorities of the country. So, Dr. Zembe, what will be your response to these positions from powerful people within ZANU-PF and within government?
George Charamba, spokesperson of Emerson Damzo Mnangagwa, made his utterances which were highly uninformed. Firstly, he claimed that a very, very important country called the United Kingdom of Britain has supported the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026. George Charamba went further to claim that the United Kingdom of Great Britain does not have a constitution. This was a public statement that George Charamba made. George Charamba is ignorant. He does not know what a constitution is. We will have to ask the British people to respond to him regarding the two issues he raised, particularly on the issue of the constitutional issue. George Charamba stated that Britain does not have a constitution. That is a fallacy. What I know, which is a fact, is that Britain has an unwritten constitution deeply embedded in its culture, in its traditions and customs. Britain is a nation that is organized and run on the basis of its culture, its national culture, which may be made up of historical conventions, tradition and customs, judicial decisions from the courts of common law or common courts, subsidiary legislation, and international treaties. This is what makes up the culture of the British people, from what I know. The British themselves can tell us the absolute truth. But in the history of constitutional governance, there is a leading expert, a professor who taught at Oxford University around 1885, whose thoughts on the unwritten British Constitution contributed immensely to the study of the rule of law. A.C. D.C., who lectured constitutional governance at Oxford University around 1885, gave fundamental thoughts of the British constitutional rule. And as he lectured, he gave actually three meanings of the Constitution of Britain: an unwritten constitution. And I would want George Charamba to go and study that debate of the British Constitution. We would not be having a nation of Britain without a constitution. All constitutions are fundamentally unwritten, because these are agreements of minds in nations, in organizations, in groups, in families. Wherever you have mental agreement of actions or belief systems, principles, or conventions, therein lies a constitution of a group of people. It may be organizations, it may be churches, it may be private sector companies, it may be nations themselves. There is nowhere where you have a group of human beings acting together in unison without an agreement. And an agreement is an intangible existence. It has no physical existence. It is the meeting of minds. That is what you call an agreement or a contract. And once there is a meeting of minds, of members in a group, of common action to take, common action to achieve, a vision to achieve, then a constitution exists. So fundamentally, constitutions exist primarily in an unwritten form, where you have a written contract or agreement or a constitution. It is for the removal of doubt in certain fundamental areas. It is for the avoidance of abuse of a cultural constitution. That's where you have a written document, which can be called a constitution document. And the constitution document itself is a repository of a constitutional value or a constitution. The constitution document itself is not the constitution, but it is the underlying contents, the meaning of words that are enshrined in a constitution document, which is a constitution. And I'm sure George Charamba from today onwards will get to know what a constitution is. I now move on to the utterances by ZANU-PF spokesperson Christopher Muchangwa regarding the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 and the other aspects of governance regarding the ZANU-PF regime. You see, it is unprocedural. The CAB3 process is unprocedural. It is undemocratic. I've said on many occasions that this nation, Zimbabwean nation, went to war to establish a system of governance which internationally is referred to as democracy, a democratic system of government based on the actions of the people in their freedoms, in their communities, in their societies, when they gather to get into free and fair democratic elections, where every citizen has a right to think and to make a decision relating to who to appoint into public office, as president, as members of parliament, and as councillors. Now, this is the central philosophy when you look at the civilian government system as opposed to a military government system or a monarchical government system. Zimbabweans went to war in order to establish a civilian democratic rule based on elections. One person, one citizen, one secret vote. And that secret vote or a ballot represents a thought process where every citizen participates in an election to make a decision, to make a choice. And this is a mental process. And when a citizen makes a choice to choose who to appoint into office as president, as a member of parliament, and as a councillor, that citizen's decision, which must be made secretly and then thrown into a ballot box, cannot be witnessed by any other citizen. That decision made by an individual casting a vote will be pulled together with citizens, other citizens' choices, and then will be counted. When every citizen has cast his or her vote, then the process of counting and announcing results must take place immediately or forthwith. Unlike what we have seen in 2008, that the results of an election were kept for 6 weeks, that is 1.5 months, without declaring the result, was clearly unheard of and was clearly not in keeping with the philosophy of holding elections. Secret ballot elections, results should be known soon after the closure of the time of voting, without delay, so that the people's decisions can be implemented to govern them. So Christopher Mutsvangwa, what he said is not consistent with the democratic system of government, where Zimbabweans, the people, originate ideas. The ideas in CAB3 of 2026 did not come from the people. It came from some people in ZANU-PF political party and in ZANU-PF government, not the people of Zimbabwe. So it's the other way around. When you look at a constitutional issue, it should come from the people, then into the structures that should process those ideas for enactment into law. A people's constitution is made by the people, not by parliament, not by president, not by a political party. So Christopher Mutsvangwa clearly is wrong. And Christopher Mutsvangwa should know that where you deal with the role of the people in decision making regarding how they should be governed, they are the mandators. The people appoint public leaders on the basis of what the people will have agreed. In other words, on the basis of an agreement, which is a people's constitution, fundamentally unwritten, and where it has been reduced to a written, piece, a write-up, like we saw in 2013 There is a current write-up where Zimbabweans all agreed that the individual person who contests the position of president as a candidate can be given power to govern for 5 years. And that individual has the right to contest for a second term of 5 years. And there is no individual, according to our current agreement, who should be in government for more than, as president, for more than 10 years. This is what currently exists in the minds and the hearts of Zimbabweans, even without referring to the 2013 constitutional write-up. The real constitution of the people, which is unwritten, the agreement we have, is that no single individual should be president for more than 10 years. And that the current members of parliament and the councillors should not be in office for more than 5 years, from 2023 to 2028. Everybody who was appointed into public office as president, as member of parliament, and as councillor should vacate office come 2028. That is the correct constitutional position. And therefore what Mutsango was saying is completely way out. He was simply talking about the dictatorship that they are currently brewing in this country. But definitely, Christopher Mutsango should know that they are going to lose. They are going to lose that contest. They cannot write a constitution for the people. No. ZANU-PF as a party is not the people. The conference in Bulawayo and the conference in Mutare, where they conspired to overthrow a constitution, are not the people. Those conferences are conferences of a political party, and the political party is not the people. The Mnangagwa's cabinet is not the people. Mnangagwa's government is not the people. Mnangagwa's parliament is not the people. Jacob Mtenda is not the people. All these instruments are not the people. The people represent themselves, and therefore they are completely way out in their conspiration to have CAB number 3 of 2026. Now, that initiative has long been rejected by the citizens of this country. And this is why, even yesterday, we saw a lot of citizens in UK grouping and protesting at the embassy, Zimbabwean embassy. I also, in fact, saw 9 people being addressed by the Zimbabwean ambassador to Britain, Katsande. He addressed 9 people, according to the ex-post that I saw. And that is it. Now, when you look at 9 people versus the majority who protested successfully, you can see that 9 people is a very small minority. So let's go by the rule of majority. That is the people. So I hope I've answered your question, Chairman Measure. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zembe. I like the fact that you have pushed back and say UK, they must respond to Emerson Mnangagwa through his spokesperson, George Charamba, to say, who had said, 1, they support the constitutional amendment bill number 3. And I also add to say George Charamba himself must also give us which reference was he making to say, was it written to them? Was it put in a public publication? Where did he get the concept that the United Kingdom support constitutional amendment bill number 3? And the United Kingdom must also respond to Charamba to say he is alleging that they don't have a constitution. So they are our colonial masters. They must respond to that because it's a very fundamental allegation to say an establishment like the UK just to run on autopilot without a constitution. And I think you have also alluded that Chris Mutangwa might be playing propaganda. There's nothing like CAB3 being a people-driven initiative. It came from ZANU-PF somewhere in Blawayo, then in Mtare, calling it resolution number 2, and then putting it to cabinet, and then to force it to the people. I think the other day I was talking to Soro Jenna. I was saying he was actually highlighting some few fundamental things to say. How are they going to navigate the fact that they are suggesting to extend the president of the country's term of office from 5 to 7, but they are quiet about what happens to their party president, who also happens to have a 5-year tenure. So what happens in 2027 when his term of office as the party president expires? And if they've succeeded in making his national president 7 years. So those are some of the things that's making this thing unconstitutional. Before you, if you have got any comment about this sentiment that I put across, I'm just saying to those watching us on Champion Network TV or on NDWG Global TV, you can interact with us via chat so that Dr. Zembe can respond. Or if you want, you can actually join Dr. Zembe in the studio. There is a link in the chat box that you can click and you can join us here in the studio. Zembe, before we go to the next segment, do you have any comments, especially particularly the fact that the CAB3 is only geared toward the national presidents, extending it to 7 years, but there's nothing that is being said about the ZANU-PF party presidents?
Have you posed that question to me?
Yeah, I was just to say maybe we may just want to comment on it.
Would you mind just recapping it?
What I was saying is the CAB3 is talking to the president of Zimbabwe as a nation, but there is nothing there being said about the president of ZANU-PF, because the ZANU-PF president also has got a 5-year tenure. Then what happens in 2027 if they manage to extend his presidential term to the 2 years? What happens to his party president?
Oh, I see. Well, what I think is legitimate for me is to respond regarding the state governance system. You know, the institutions of governance. And the government of Zimbabwe is for all Zimbabweans. Now, the partisan situation of ZANU-PF is for ZANU-PF people to answer and to explain. But now that we have a proposal, public governance proposal that emanated from ZANU-PF, in that context, I can hazard out a comment there that yes, that is a valid observation by Sorojena, because ZANU-PF itself had a system similar to the public governance system of having term limitations for 5-year term limitations. I mean, in terms of, in ZANU-PF, they don't have term limitations to say a person should be president for such and such a period, but they have the Congress periodic limitations to say a person becomes president until the next Congress. After every 5 years, they would now hold their Congress every 5 years. In other words, electing a new president. So there they have terms, presidential terms, although they don't have a term limitation like to say an individual president should serve for not more than 2 5-year terms. So there's discordance between what the ZANU-PF system has and what they are proposing for the nation. There's no resonance. Maybe it's an oversight. It's not surprising given that they are quarreling in ZANU-PF regarding the CAB3 bill itself. They are in total conflict, disagreement, negative conflict. We know that there are factions in ZANU-PF. We know that there are a lot of grievances, even relating to the current form of Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026. There are complaints that the drafters committed an error of commission. Only one amendment was agreed upon in ZANU-PF conferences, and those conferences were not democratic and consultative enough. It is the view of a minority in ZANU-PF, even when they simply had the extension of Mnangagwa's term as president. But then the other amendments were sneaked into the bill by Ziambi and company. So we are seeing a lot of complaints emanating from the members of ZANU-PF, and that a lot of ZANU-PF members, including members of parliament, have rejected the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 already. And I'm sure they are going to show their rejection in the secret ballot when they vote as members of parliament. And that is what the nation is expecting. Because all MPs should know that they are having a national duty. We only have one parliament institution in Zimbabwe. And anyone who gets into there has to know that parliament is made up of representatives of the people of Zimbabweans, regardless of how you got into parliament. Once you are a member of parliament, you take oath as a public leader. You take oath holding a Bible in one hand, raising your hand, open palm, and asking God to guide you in leading the nation as a member of parliament. So to say, so God help me. Now God will not help devilish people when you clearly accept to be bribed by one person or a group of persons for you to vitiate your thought processes and your decision, for you to abandon the public constitutional vow, Miko, which you took when you got appointed into that position as a member of parliament. You should never betray that vow, that oath you took when you occupied public office. So Zimbabweans are expecting every member of parliament to be a truly representative of the people and reject the Constitutional Amendment number 3 Bill of 2026 in a secret ballot. And that is defending the people, defending the sovereignty of Zimbabweans in that institution of parliament. Because that is the institution that Mnangagwa and company are going to use to brew their intoxicating dictatorship, which is destructive, which will destroy lives in Zimbabwe in many ways, which will plunge this country into total chaos, anarchy, and disorganization, which will cause this country a lot of suffering, close production of goods and services. The current one that is happening where people are scrounging for survival. When bad governance is deliberately unleashed in a country, it has got catastrophic implications. It has got genocidal effects. People die. So, members of parliament, take heed. Never ever you be abused, especially now that we are having these debates, these discourses, these discussions, where we analyze human conduct, activities of our democratic institutions or public institutions. We have elected you as members of parliament to be on guard and to be with the people. Because if you betray your vow, your oath, which you have taken, then you will be collaborators in terms of destroying this nation, and you will never win. Even in this country, if we look at the historical developments, we have had dictatorships, racial dictatorships. We have even had Mugabe as a dictator for 37 years. But all that ended. Hapana chisingaperi. Zvinhu zvose zvavanhu zvinopera, zvinoguma. So don't be bribed into joining destruction of public life in your country. You are the only member of parliament who has been chosen as we exist currently as a nation. You are not two in that position, you are one. And you are supposed to be behaving in an orderly manner, a manner that will maintain law and order in Zimbabwe, a manner that will produce peaceful existence in Zimbabwe, a manner that will produce development in Zimbabwe, a manner that will protect life in Zimbabwe, a manner that will prevent chaos and violence in Zimbabwe. You are the only person who occupies that public position as a member of parliament. So you must make a decision to protect the sovereignty of Zimbabweans and everything good that should, come out of the democratic governance, Jekerere, Yamunika. I think Chairman Misha, this council we are giving to our fellow citizens who occupy positions in parliament is very valuable. And thank you, the movers of this program, the Champions TV, and in collaboration with the NDWG Global TV. Your program is timeless. Your program is adding value to the governance processes of Zimbabwe, particularly where we are facing this plot by ZANU-PF people, by Mnangagwa's government, to destabilize national development through Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026. Back to you, Chairman Misha.
Thank you, Dr. Zembe. It is our desire that we give voices to the people, like we have given you voice to speak to the members of parliament, to speak to authorities in Zimbabwe. If there are those who are watching us on the YouTube or on Champion Network TV or on NDW Global TV, we kindly ask you to ask your questions while the doctor is here. He is generous enough to answer questions, even those that are outside his lane. As he had said, he would not have answered that of ZANU-PF, but because there is an alignment with the president of Zimbabwe, he will give his thoughts. Now, Dr. Zembe, we are now moving into the diaspora protest and the global spotlight. I know you have touched on this before in your earlier discussions. I just want to draw your attention to here in Zimbabwe, in the United Kingdom, Zimbabweans have demonstrated against the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. And of particular importance was the presence of Lord John Oates, who is not only the member of the House of Lords, he occupies quite some key positions within the Lib Democrats party here in the United Kingdom, and he sits on various committees and portfolios. And his presence, does it suggest that this issue is now entering an international political discourse? And what does this mean for Zimbabwe?
Chairman, I did not hear anything because your voice had echoes. That's the sound I heard, but I didn't hear anything clearly coming out of your mouth. As you know, on this side, you have put my mic on mute.
Right.
And
can you hear
if
me
you
now?
mind, say now.
Can you hear me?
No, I'm not hearing you. No, it has echoes. I hear sound with echoes.
Oh, right.
Maungira.
Right. Let me see. Where is it?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Don't go Maungira.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Oh.
No, I'm not hearing you audibly.
Can you hear me now?
No, I'm not hearing you.
Okay, let me try to sort
I hear your efforts to speak, but the barrier there.
Right. What about
No,
now?
I'm not hearing anything.
Can you hear me now?
There's technological dysfunctions, Chairman.
All right. Okay. Let me. All right. Let me see if it is. Can you hear me now?
I only heard "let me" and nothing else.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
No. Your voice is being muffled.
I don't know what I don't know what's happening.
Still, the machines are not making it possible for me to hear you on this side audibly. But you hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, this side I can't hear you. It's some interfering blockade. I hear bits and pieces of what you are telling me, but nothing audible.
Right. Okay. Let me see.
Nothing audible, Chairman.
Nothing audible. All right. Okay. Maybe if that is the case, maybe we might reschedule it. I might reschedule it because I can't see what's going on. Maybe we might reschedule it for.
What are you saying?
I'm saying maybe we may need to reschedule. I'm not seeing what is the problem from this end.
To what?
To reschedule.
There's definitely a barrier.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's a barrier. From that side, I can't hear you, Vamisha.
Yeah, all right.
I just hear some breakthrough of what you are saying, but nothing audible. I can't hear you. We can't converse.
Yeah, no. Let me close. Then we reschedule for tomorrow.
Yeah, the machines have interfered in the communication process. If you hear me clearly, I can't hear you clearly this side.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
To help us grow, please give us a big thumbs up, share this video with your network, and hit that subscribe button right now.